people really haven't played it.
Oh, should we use food and utility?
Yeah, go ahead. All the stats, the numbers will be a little bit different here because it's PvE stuff here, but all the, the function, the actions will be the same. Okay, so you are not doing damage. The Spellbreaker is not mainly doing damage. Although you could technically play a bit with Berserker or something. You shouldn't because you'll get squished. Maybe Marauder, you might pull off some kind of other gear set trying to get a little damage, but it's going to distract you from what you should be doing more than anything else. So what you should be doing is Boon Rip and CC. Boon Rip and CC. Which CC is crowd control, if you haven't heard that before. Stuns, immobilizes, cripples.
And the Warhorn.
Yes, so you do have a second job beyond the stuns and the CCs that's Condi Clear, which you get with your Warhorn as well as your shouts. Your Shake It Off. Now there's some thought to Condi clearing. It's not just a straight rotation on Warrior where it might be on NG or something. Because it's more reacting to things. We have to get the Condis on us first before you can clear them. But because Warrior's 90% melee, that is something you can be doing when we're not in range of you hitting him with the hammer.
And you all are better at the hammer than I am.
The hammer's really, really, really big, and that's where you get a lot of extra boon strips and a lot of immobilizes. So there's a combo that you're getting from the Spellbreaker stuff because Dispel Force, yep. If you stun them, if you pull them, if you knock them down, you remove a boon. So we add on that trait where if you stun them or daze them, you also inflict immobilize. So now anytime you hit them with your hammer to interrupt them, you're also ripping boons and you're also immobilizing them. So if you get stuck in a Berserk and you get immobilized, that's what's going on half the time. You add in your sword F1 and you've got extra immobilize. So if we're up close, that one can get you in trouble, the flurry, a bit because it locks you in one place. But you can just move to get out of the way.
I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like when I switch to hammer, I lose like 1,000 armor class.
You lose 1,000 what?
Armor class. It's like I become way squishier, way like night and day.
You're gonna want to check your stats. Maybe you have more health stats on your Warhorn than you do on your hammer.
No, it's way squishier. It's not like one weapon squishier. It's like I lose half my stuff if I switch to hammer.
Yeah, take a look at your stats. That could definitely do that. Like if you had a Berserker hammer versus a Minstrel sword, you'd see a huge difference. Sorgetti, so well, let me ping the base build first.
Carry blue team.
So that's the base build. And you don't really mess with defense or Spellbreaker, but if you are going for more damage, you swap out tactics for strength. And the same is for roaming. You keep defense, you keep Spellbreaker, you take out tactics, you put in strength. So that's kind of your slot that's either support or damage. And you could go with Marauders, And it really plays fairly similar. You just skip the Warhorn and go with an axe. That's kind of what most do if they're going for more of a DPS. But the thing is, you're giving up a lot on your personal tankiness, and what people don't realize, even though Warrior is tanky as hell, because Warrior's out in front and very obvious to the enemy team, even if you're booned up to hell, they're going to try to hit you and corrupt you and kill you personally before you get there. So you do need a lot more tankiness as a bubble warrior than, say, if you're just roaming or whatever.
Yeah, because you gotta go out front to drop the bubble. Yeah, because the commander's gonna be standing here, and he's gonna be like, "All right, bubble," and then you gotta go, "Whoa!" And that's very obvious to the enemy. See that big orange glow? Yeah. Sucks.
All right, so let's talk about the bubble, because that's done all kinds of wrong in a lot of cases. Weapons wise, always hammer. Support warriors are going to have Warhorn and sword. DPS warrior, I mean, they might go sword, axe, hammer. They might go sword, axe, great sword for extra mobility. But you miss a lot of boon rips if you don't have the hammer. The interrupts are really huge. All right, so we're going to talk about adrenaline and CC and all that after the bubble. So there's not one way to do it. There's not a right way. You just need to be doing it the way the commander expects it. And if we're getting into bigger groups where we have 30 or whatever, and we can have, 3, 4 spellbreakers, you need to remind the commander that you're there and that you have a bubble, and kind of figure out when it needs to happen. And not just if you're running with us, but if you jump in with Dusk or whoever you might be playing with, it's helpful for them to know that you are actually paying attention and in comms, because a lot of bubbles cannot really be counted on. And then they're normally going to have either an order that they would assign. So, bubble 1, bubble 2, bubble 3. Or you'd be assigned as a defensive bubble where you hold on to that thing until the enemy pushes us. And that's what you'd see in a lot of more kiting, pirate shippy type tactics where, like, say in a bridge situation, if we're smaller than them or whatever, we wait for them to push us, we drop our bubble, our wells, and we back up and cast our damage. So that is kind of where you need to the command. I mean, you've seen how the fights go. The commander can't always get out enough words to say put your bubbles down. So some commanders are better than that than others, but there is kind of a clutch moment that you have to be looking for to put that thing down.
Yeah, and that's just experience. If you don't get interrupted, if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen, so it's like it's just experience, I guess.
And part of it is kind of knowing what the commander's trying for, and the other stuff that's going on in the squad, as far as the CCs, the long range stuff, the quote unquote baby gate from the dragon hunters that's immobilizing everyone. The wells, whether the necros already put those out there, or lines, anything. If we can get them trapped or stripped in addition to the bubble, everything's going to work way better. Whereas if you just cast it early and then the enemy commander sees it from a distance and just goes around it, it's kind of wasted. But in some senses, it's denying area. So if we are getting pushed aggressively and we are scattered as shit, it's worth just popping it there, because you're going to make them not go near us. You're going to go give us somewhere to stand for a minute and kind of make somewhere that they can't go. So it used to be where you could run and the bubble would go with you, kind of like the Guardian Shield 5, and that was much more flexible and less valuable because you could kind of move with it, and it didn't really matter if you put it in the wrong place because you just keep moving. Now it doesn't move. It's the same as the Breach from the Necro. So you'll hear some commanders call that too. Breach bubble, breach bubble. Those two both go in one place. They work together to rip boons and throw damage down in one spot. And then whether we stay there or not doesn't really matter. We want to trap the enemy in that spot with whatever kind of immobilizes and lines from everybody else we can pull off. So that's just some background as far as the commander needs to be saving the bubble a bit more. There's a bit of old school thinking where you just rush in and bubble and win, and that does not work. Maybe it used to work, does not work now. The bubble has to be held more until we've kind of weakened them a bit with range, worked them down with boons and CCs. Then we can go for the choke with the bubble. Maybe in a weird situation, and I've kind of wanted to try this where we could stealth the warriors off to the side and have them run in, get the bubble off, and then everybody else goes. But in the current day and age, they're seeing you coming. If you're just running ahead of tag and trying to get the bubble off, if you're anywhere out in front, they're seeing you coming.
Bright glowing orange. It's literally a bright glowing orange. And Necros are gonna kick your butt.
The timing on it is tough, and you can kind of hopefully get some quickness from your group. Frenzy's about all you have for personal quickness, which you could sub in instead of Great Justice, but yeah, it is learning the timing of it because it is a slow cast. Like, say I'm trying to drop the bubble on our Guardians on the other side. Because it's a slow cast, I'm just going to RP walk to kind of... I need to be thinking about casting it like right about here. And before I even get this close, I need to be thinking about stability. And I don't care what anybody says, your Guardian may or may not be ready. That's why you need Balance Stance. It's not for stun break, it's for prevention. It pulses stability, so you keep getting it as you're walking. Even if they strip it, you're going to get some more, because it comes back on interval. So, ideally, you're using your Warhorn to buff up, Great Justice, whatever else you're getting from your group. You're going with your Balance Stance, you got stability, you're going in, you're casting midway there because it's slow, and you get the group. I, of course, did that at a wrong time, but the timing is tough, and you have to cast it a bit off of the time that you have to kind of practice it a bit to kind of get the timing right for how long it takes to get there.
Yeah, especially try and focus on their regroups.
The
Like
sword
if they
leap is a
regroup,
big reason why sword is taken. So the sword 2 gives you a big distance closer that you can use to get in quickly and get the bubble off. But it also can put you out of position, and it's going to go targeted if you target someone.
50,
So if you target someone off to the side or behind you, you're totally going the wrong way. Off a cliff, whatever it might be. If you target nothing, you're just going to go forward. But that you have to be facing the right direction, or you can, jump off, whatever.
and then you're spending a longer time in their cast on feet.
But generally, really, the bubble should not be ahead of the group, and it should be casted after you think it should be casted. The more you hold on to it, the better. It's much worse to cast an early bubble than a late bubble. So really, it should be the group moving together. You're with your Guardians, you're with your Necros, you're with everybody else, so they can't pick you out. They're casting stuff, and then once we're up in there,
But they're also
the bubble's casted, and hopefully near them. Now, freeze at that point.
most of the time they're not standing still.
Right. They see that and they're going to be freaked out and they're going to try to get out of it. And because that's their, that's what you're supposed to do. That's when your hammer needs to kick in right away. As soon as you're in there, you're running in with your Warhorn. But as soon as your bubble is casted, you need to be switching to hammer immediately because you're going to trigger your Sigil of Energy so you can dodge additionally. And that's the other thing, too, that a lot of people miss. You can totally dodge aggressively if you're trying to get in there for the bubble. You can dodge forward and kind of avoid all damage and then cast the bubble. You don't have to save your dodges always for getting away because you'll have more.
Especially if you get the Warhorn 5 off. There you go. Now they can't get behind him. Oh my god! Oh my god!
The hammer, after you've gotten the bubble off, they've already gotten some boons stripped. So they probably don't have their Aegis. They probably don't have their stability. So right at that point, you should be going right for your Earthshaker. And that will keep them from getting away. The burst is underutilized, so underutilized for the Warriors. If we get the bubble off and then the Earthshaker, it makes it so much easier on everyone else. Everyone else can get their skills off because no one got away. The stun is there as well as the immobilize. Now, here's the extra level warrior stuff. You've already done that once. So you've got one Earthshaker. Boom. Then you hit your F2. Hit me with something. Well, it didn't trigger, but in a real fight, you're going to get hit by something constantly. So your F2 is also underused. I got to get adrenaline back up. But
Oh yeah, free stack of stability and interrupt.
the interrupt is big. So you got another interrupt as soon as they hit you. So you spin around and you hit them back, which interrupts. Interrupts take off boons. And that also is helping to recharge your Earthshaker again, and it gives you more adrenaline because you're hitting them with that counterattack. So you come in, you strip boons with your bubble, you hit them with Earthshaker, you do your F2, hit me with something, that triggers, and I get my adrenaline almost filled back up. And in a big fight, you can do 2 Earthshakers in a row. Boom, all over again. So that's your big move. Your adrenaline is really going into that Earthshaker as quickly as you can. That Earthshaker is your job once your bubble's done. There's only so much adrenaline you can get, and the fight doesn't stay in one place, so they're going to get out of your range pretty quickly. So you get your Earthshakers off as quick as you can. Beyond that, and this one's a little, the 4 is going to knock them back if they don't have stab, which they just did, but the Hammer 4 is going to do a knockback, which in most big engages is good, but it has the potential to knock enemies out of wells and bubbles. So do not do that one early. That one is later. Because you can screw up your own bubble if you knock people out of them. You want them in the bubble, not out of the bubble. So you're getting your bubble off, you're getting your burst, your Earthshaker, you interrupt more with your full counter. If you have enough adrenaline, you do your Earthshaker all over again. And then at that point, you can maybe get off a 3 to cripple somebody. And at that point, you're swapping weapons again. The timing of the fight is not unlimited offense. In any good engage, there's 5-10 seconds of a push and then a regroup. 5-10 seconds of a push and then a regroup. The constant push is how a group gets stringed out and dies. It's a series of short movements instead of just one long movement. And the timing for your skill recharges works pretty well with that. So you're going in with the bubble, and boom. You're going with your hammer, Earthshaker. You got a F2, knockback if you want, and then you're going right back to your other weapons, and everything should be ready again. So at that point, your mindset is switching too. You're not knocking people around anymore. Now you got to get back to buffing up the group and look for the next opportunity. And that's the hard part of Warrior, because it requires some paying attention and some discipline, and you can't do a lot of casting long range stuff, so you kind of have to wait a little bit. And at that point, you know, you're blasting stuff with your Warhorn, you're clearing condies, you're putting on might, but you can't force things. You can't stay in melee because you're gonna get left behind. The group is gonna have to go somewhere else. They're gonna turn. You're gonna die, or you're just gonna be catching up the whole fight, and you're not really gonna be useful. So having the discipline and the non-squirreliness to being able to switch back to Warhorn is a big part of it. Because the Warhorn is really big. The amount of Condi you can take off with Warhorn is huge. There are very few skills in the game left that hit 10 people. The bubble is one, and the Warhorn is the other.
Yeah. Conditions removed 3. Total number of targets 10. It's one of the last ones.
And there's some big brain stuff to it with the priority on conditions that you can do better than even the NG, because the charge, the Warhorn 4 prioritizes cripple, immobilize, and chill, which wreck groups. Immobilizes are the worst thing in the world. So you can hit one skill and get rid of those for 10 people. Done. So if we get CC'd, if we run through a choke, if we get trapped, anything, you need to save the day with a charge right away. You can.
But it's 5. It's 5 people in World vs. World.
I'm sorry. That's yes. God damn it! It is the PVE stats throwing me off. Yep. Thank you for that. So yeah, it is. So yeah, 5. But regardless, the removal of CC, the damage boost that you get from that charge buff, the swiftness, and fury is lacking in the group quite a bit if we don't have enough revs too. Because that's a big part of the whole, you know, group comp, organizing parties, all that. Trying to make sure everybody has all the boons. And swiftness and fury are missing a lot of times. So the charge throughout the fight, the more you can hit that, the more everybody's hitting people harder. Plus 25% damage is huge. Plus 20% critical chance. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. The 5 is barrier, so that's, you know, extra barrier we can get on a push, so we don't get taken up by hits and the resistance. And they're both blast too, so there's a call for stealth. The NG drops their gyro, and you're hitting both of them. You can blast twice quickly, like way quicker than anybody else. All the other blasts are slow. So that stealth field goes down, and you need to be hitting both of your Warhorn skills to extend that stealth for everybody. In theory, you could blast it with your hammer, but you kind of shouldn't, because you need that adrenaline for combat, if you even have it. The Warhorn you always have ready.
Yeah, the only competitor to blasting is the short bow thief. Short bow thief can get 3 or 4 blasts off in the stealth field.
And we don't really want thieves anyway, so.
I get it.
So that's most of really the skills there, just with that kind of basic push rotation. You go in, you cast the bubble at the appropriate time. You look for your Earthshaker combo with the full counter to get your adrenaline back. You immobilize with the hammer shock, the staggering blow. Try not to knock people out of wells and bubbles. And I mean, if you don't have much left, you can just auto attack people with the damn sword. There's not a lot of damage on the hammer. It's really just CCs. So if you're out of stuff and you're just back on sword, the auto attack's not terrible because you're hitting multiple targets. And yeah, I mean, most of your adrenaline should be going into the Earthshaker, but if there's a big need for a CC or a lockdown, or it's a finishing moment, then maybe you'd be using your sword burst for the big immobilize. All right. Any questions on that yet?
I was wondering something. For example, when Manny or Popedor you call for gates or the guardians, one thing that Awaken does is go with the hammer and use Earthshaker on the targets of the gates. So should I do the same if I'm a Spellbreaker? Like prioritize the Earthshaker on the ones that are on gates?
Yes. Yeah. If you can, if there's already a CC of any type, lions, gates, a pull, whatever. Yes, definitely. If you can get an Earthshaker to stun them further, that's much more time that our guys can finish them with a bomb. So it's if you are in range, yeah, try to be focusing on the Earthshaker. I mean, you don't want to put yourself too far ahead in a position where you'd get pulled or anything. But if we're melee pushing, yes, Earthshake, Earthshake, Earthshake.
Would knockdowns be strong with that as well, or because Hammer 5 has a knockdown?
So Hammer 5, it's good in theory, but it's slow cast and it's one target.
Ah, okay.
So it can be good, but in more of a finisher situation.
Gotcha.
The sword 3 is pretty good damage for, like, it sounds like a final thrust. If you've got somebody already low, you might reach out and finish him with that jab.
Got me in the eye.
Wow.
But yeah, not a ton of damage. I mean, I've played it with clerics sometimes to get a little bit of damage, but I mean, you're going to get more benefit out of vitality, out of toughness, out of healing power, because your healing from is pretty good from the shouts. It really is. And that's one of the big reasons I take for Great Justice, is because you can do it while you're doing other things, and you can cast them quickly and over and over. So in mid-fight, you know, if I'm taking a lot of heat up front or whatever, while I'm doing my weapon skills, I can do my shouts and fill my health bar back up. And it fills everybody else up too, as, you know, added bonus.
I have a
And
question.
it's an instant 12 stacks of might for your party.
What's up, David?
Or 5 people around you. And I'm sorry for interrupting.
Don't worry. For example, in the defense trade line, there is a trade that it's called Defy Pain. So when you are under 50% health, like you gain less render pain, and it has a 60 seconds cooldown. It makes you invulnerable to everything except crowd control for 5 seconds. So what I tend to do when I go against the Zerg and on a long fight, it's wait for that one to trigger, wait for the traitor to trigger, and after those 5 seconds, then I trigger Endure Pain. So that's a total of 10 seconds of invulnerability. And I also try to save like one charge of Shake It Off when I against the Zerg. But that's because like almost all the time I'm on my own subgroup. So because I don't have any allies to heal and protect, so that is almost why I always take Endure Pain.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've used Endure Pain, and it's also boosted by your defense trait as well. So it's a really good to take, especially if you really have to get the bubble off and there's nobody else that can do it. But I'd try the shout just because shouts are going to clear Condi, and they're going to heal you back up. But the Endure Pain is not going to do anything for Condi.
It's minstrels that you're running for stats, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
How's the healing from the shouts? Then what's the number on that?
It's pretty decent. I mean, I'm gonna
Like
have to get
2,000
some.
on mine right now.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
want to
god,
keep
Pretty
around
good.
2,000.
the utility you just ran out of time. It was like 2,600 in total for each charge of Shake It Off.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there's so just like there's a passive Endure Pain, there's a passive Shake It Off in your second tactics trait.
Yeah,
And so that's going to scale off your healing power as well, and it just happens automatically when you have Condis on you. And so the rune that you'd be looking at would be the Trooper rune or the Durability rune. Those are kind of the main choices. With the Trooper rune being much more shout focused, just it basically is toughness and it does extra Condi removal.
Eventually you're gonna get, but it's hard to get got. You're not
And
gonna
then
get.
the durability is more on the Boon side. So if you're running Rune of Durability, you're not going to be getting as many cleanses because the Trooper has a lot of extra cleanses that are coming from your shouts. Whereas the durability is going to be pumping out boons automatically that are going to scale off of your minstrel's concentration. Where's my Trooper rune? There it is. So the Trooper rune is probably honestly going to make you tankier personally. If you are focused on more that on that side, that is probably going to get you more personal survival.
And
But the durability is going to be doing a lot more passively with pumping out those boons. There's toughness, there's boon duration that extends your swiftness and everything else. So it's kind of a trade-off, and I don't know. I mean, they both do good things. It kind of depends on what else your group has, but generally, I'd say the durability is overall probably a little more useful because it does more things. Now, if you are playing it with more damage, just as Scorgetti was asking, not a lot changes, really. It doesn't. You're less tanky, so you have to play better, and you have to be better on your positioning and your dodges, and you cannot stay too long even more because it's unforgiving. But the stuff that you're doing after the Earthshaker is going right into your other weapon set, and you're spinning with your swords like crazy. You've already got them in a bubble, you've got them stunned, and then you're spinning with your swords. And yeah, big damage. But they often are going to step out of your spinning and your melee damage, and then you have to have the mental discipline to turn that off and back away. And you probably are going to get bored more on DPS Warrior because you don't have anything to do with it.
stripped completely clean.
I like the blasting aspect of Warhorn just because there's so many random ass fields running around. There's a might field. Oh, I'm gonna blast it and get some might. There's a water field. Oh, I'm gonna blast it and get some heals. And that stacks off of your stats. So if you have minstrels and you're blasting water fields, you're pumping out huge amounts of extra heals that wouldn't happen otherwise. And I mean, they don't really show up on paper because the healing isn't tracked in our DPS or anything, but it's a big deal. Having a couple warriors blasting water fields does a significant amount.
And you can change your auto. Like I said, I do auto Warhorn 4. Control right click. because you can always hit one. One is easier to hit than four.
So I want to try a little bit of actual boon ripping on our guardians we have here. So patiently sitting there. So yeah, let's back off and we'll go in one at a time and try the bubble, hammer, earthshaker stuff. Because I think the earthshaker stuff is where we're missing the most. Like people are aware of the the bubble, they're aware of the Warhorn, but the extra CC boon rip you get from the earthshaker is game changer. Now we probably don't have much adrenaline right now because we're not in combat, and that's the other piece I didn't really talk about is keeping adrenaline up.
Go slap them. We're gonna come slap you for a little bit.
And that's in a real fight. That can be a problem if we've been out of range for a while. You may not have really a lot of adrenaline going into the fight. I mean, Necros can kind of build it up, killing random creatures and stuff, but yours is gone pretty quick.
Yeah, it starts draining once you're out of combat, I believe, right?
Right, and that's
Don't go too
not
far.
ideal.
Don't go too far, or you lose your adrenaline.
So you have it as long as you're in combat. Once you get out of combat, it starts draining. But sometimes, if there's something close you can hit to start getting a little adrenaline, or just be more aware of using auto attacks when you're running through stuff to get more adrenaline. Because it's really all about your burst. You're trying to get that burst off quickly as many times as you can. Even if you're just whacking stuff and getting no damage, it doesn't matter. You're getting adrenaline, so you still need to be auto attacking stuff as you go through to keep that bar filling back up. So yeah, let's have some volunteer go first here, such as Salamander.
Okay.
Then, if you want to back up there.
I don't want to get out of range. I'm not gonna do it. Oh,
I'm
okay.
back, sorry.
Welcome back. It's a good bubble. And if you're not seeing effects on them, as far as them knocking back or anything, it's because it's two guardians, so they have extra stability. They have extra Aegis. So the first few the first few hits are always going to be blocked. But in a real fight, all of our range is already going to be taking a lot of that off. All right, next Guana.
One thing that I do before like going against this Zerg is to precast that one, so I have adrenaline. I do the two Earth Shakers and some CC with Backbreaker and Fierce Blow. Wait, it's 252 to reset it, and Hammer Shock sometimes, like before going in, so I can so if someone has Aegis or stability,
Mm-hmm.
Hammer Shock takes that one apart. So the Earth Shaker, when I go after Hammer 3, it's almost going to hit, but because like there is a ton of people against on the circ that are giving stability and all that stuff, like sometimes it works and sometimes not. But like as you say, like almost all of the range that we have on the squad takes away the stability. But I always try to uh, precast Hammer Shock, like just in case.
Hammer Shock is a good idea, and yeah, to the limit is a good idea too to get adrenaline. Yeah, the Hammer Shock now, I think it can be reflected, or at least it used to be able to. Or no, maybe I'm thinking of the Guardian Hammer 3.
Wait, does it count like as a projectile?
Maybe I'm thinking of the Guardian Hammer 3. No, let's test it.
I think Hammer Shock is a ground attack.
It didn't reflect. No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the Guardian Hammer 3 I'm thinking of. So no problem with that. And that is some range. You really don't have much range, but that one's 600. So try to play with the range on that a little bit.
Yeah, something. It's something better than nothing.
There we go. Yeah. One other thing you can do instead of sword is axe, because you can use the 3 and throw axes. They can be reflected. It's not much range, but if the sword isn't working for you, the axe is something that can. And the spin with the axe 3 does generate some good adrenaline.
But the sword puts the bleed on, which keeps them in combat longer.
Yeah, the sword is nice. It's really hard to beat the sword.
They have to clear the condi to get out of combat.
But yeah, let's have another go and try their bubble. Try the hammer 3 on the way in.
For example, so I'm going to try like the rotation that I do sometimes. Like for example, we're on the squad and you're moving, so I precast 4 and 5 when you're calling for blast on stealth, and then after that I cast your limit. I Oh my god, I just ran out of adrenaline.
Yeah, it goes quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing, that when you're not in combat, like the adrenaline just goes away instantly.
But in a real fight, we're already in combat, so it's not real. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, let me get some adrenaline and stay in combat a bit.
You're not knocking them around.
Okay, so this is what I do. 44, 5, fire leap, evading them, cast bubble, earthshake, uh, F2, 2, 5, 2, 3, stay in there, try to get the other one, and if I run out of all the shake it offs and my stability and my endure pain, what I do is cast Horn 5 and Horn 4 to remove all the other immobilizes and all that stuff and leap again back to the commander and use my evades to reach you guys as fast as I can.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the situation, if you're hopefully the group has caught up to you by then, and then we're all together and it'll just be sticking with the Earthshaker. But it depends if how the movement happens.
Oh, and sometimes I interrupt my bubble, like with the evade, because like sometimes, for example, Awaken does his bubble, and at the same time I'm going to do it. So what I do is just try to cast it, but I just run away from it. So if the other, for example, if Awaken cast his bubble here, and they are coming here from here, like they are going to stop here and go back away. So if I cast my bubble here at the same time, it's going to be a wasted bubble because they are going to run or to this side or to this other side. So what I try to do after so another spellbreaker cast the bubble first is to save mine, and if I'm already on the mid cast of it, I interrupt it.
Yes, yeah.
So
If you can totally stop it halfway through the cast, and that can be a good
yeah.
idea. Now the depending on where we're fighting, I mean, if it's a choke, yeah, one bubble should be enough. But if we have more of an open terrain and we have many spellbreakers, we want to try to space them out in more area. So, and this is probably better to practice with multiple spellbreakers attacking anyway.
Oh, another thing. One thing that I don't understand, for example, it's in PvE it affects 10 targets.
Yeah. Some of the effects are not
Oh,
correct here. Yeah.
so one of the things that I don't understand, for example, it's it affects 5 targets. So, for example, let's say that in here are 5 targets.
Hmm.
But what if they run away from the bubble and another 5 people before the bubble goes ends? Another 5 people go inside. Does
They also lose boons. Yes, it's
all of
5
them?
people at one
Oh, okay.
time. At one time. So yeah, five. If
Oh,
5
Yep.
go
One
in,
second.
they
One
lose
second
boons, and then
interval.
5 more go in, they lose boons, and it continues.
And nobody can get boons, and it dispels missiles, so
And
nobody
the
can get
not
you
being
on
able to
missile test.
receive boons is probably the biggest
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
because if
exactly.
they are dumb enough to stand in there, their guardians are worthless. They're trying to put on stability and they can't. So
For
there is
ages
no
or
option of
whatever.
standing in a
Exactly.
bubble. You have to keep moving.
oh, by the way,
And
does
you
the
can't shoot through the bubble,
oh
so it's uh, a defensive measure also.
oh nice. By the way, does the bubble if it destroys blocks missiles, does that include the trebuchet and the catapult?
Uh,
No, unfortunately,
yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah.
The
Actually, it
Ah,
does. It
shit.
does. It
it
does.
will no, nothing that we
We'll
do can
disagree.
stop
We'll
siege.
agree to disagree on this.
You can stop disablers, but you absolutely cannot stop a ballista bolt, and we can go test that.
Oh, so in
Yeah,
general, like,
no, not a ballista. That's a targeted. An open, it does, like a catapult and treb. It does. That's why the bubble's so friggin' high. It actually works. I tested it with another dude, another commander, and I'm like, he's like, did it work? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, if it works, it works. It does. Why do you think the bubble's so high?
What we're going to do is try to practice with 2 Spellbreakers on our 2 Guardians here. So, David, if you want to go on the right side, kind of, we'll just say this is assigned by the commander ahead of time. You're going to be the right side Spellbreaker. I'm going to be the left side Spellbreaker. So we're going to come in from our sides and try to get our bubbles off on them, and then go with the Earthshaker.
okay.
So precast, whatever. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Stab up. Leaping in. Bubbling. Earth shaking. So yeah, with 2 Spellbreakers, much more damage, much more interrupts. And even 2 Guardians are having a much harder time. So yeah, we'll back off.
I mean, I wasn't doing anything. I'm saying I wanted you to feel good about what you're doing here.
Well, thank you, thank you. It looked better. The first bubble didn't do anything at all. So. No, we didn't really do it perfectly, but if we have a large enemy blob, what we would try to be separating our bubbles a bit more to cover more space. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a choke, we can't. But if we have multiple spell breakers and we're all bubbling, spreading out and covering more area is better, so that they have nowhere to go. So yeah, let's have next to get up there with a bubble. Sergetti, somebody else.
Let's go, Carrie. Why am I running so slow?
Go, go, go. Bubble.
Hit me. Oh no, they didn't.
You're probably not going to get off more than 2 Earthshakers. Like if you can get off 2, that's your cue to kind of swap weapons and try other stuff.
It's okay, Carrie, I'll heal you.
I didn't know we were still going.
No, that should be good. Yeah, you're probably out of skills. All right, I think some of our other people don't have bubble unlocked, but if you want to try out the hammer skills or anything, now is a great chance. Get him, yeah. Level 51 coming at you.
Oh my god.
Oh no. To the rescue.
Oh my god, is that Tulip? Oh, that's not Tulip. Imposter.
Almost got excited.
Haven't seen him in ages.
Yeah, same.
Crazy. He's probably enjoying the rain in
I
Florida.
did not mean to do that.
All right, that's kind of the gist of the training, really. It's a good chance to kind of practice some bubbles and different skills since we have people in the arena. And one other thing I was thinking of is if we could bring in a Necro to kind of have them try to stop you on your way in to cast a bubble. That would be something that could up the game a bit, but
Necros like stop them how? With like stab
Corrupt
corrupts
Boon,
and
yeah.
okay. Maybe fears too or something?
The Scepter 3, all that
Okay.
hateful stuff that they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, any questions on anything with that at all? I think Regulus is changing over to Necro for us.
That hurt. Hurt my feelings.
Yeah, the level makes a
pinballed.
difference. Yeah. Going in for a bubble. Bubbling now.
I need to get up.
Give me another bubble, another bubble. Next bubble, go. Nice.
Good luck getting
Soon.
boons now. No, I'm kidding.
Ah.
Let her revive.
All right, back off.
Get your rock dog.
Who has a rock dog in here?
Oh my god, it's mine. Oh my god, I forgot I'm on Soldier
How
Wing.
did I know?
I can't do anything.
You just have to wait for it to time out.
No,
It's gonna take a while because
You
it's in
gotta wait for
combat.
Oh.
It's
I
all
got
good.
mine.
I'm trying, dude. I'm
Oh
trying to
my
get
God.
out of range.
Oh.
I don't think I can go
By
any
the
further.
way, if the main skills that we're using for stuff greatly differs from PvE, we
Stop it,
could
rock
use the Edge of the Mist arena.
True. I forget about the Edge of the Mist arena. Yeah.
Alright, I'm out of range, Storm. If you wanna. There's Stomp.
Oh, it's the PvP arena.
It uses World vs. World stats, and you can make custom teams and everything. I haven't really used it much, but it's normally for GVTs and stuff. All right, let's try getting a line of bubbles. So we're going to try to cover, like, say, 1 bubble, 2 bubble, 3 bubble, 4 bubble. All right, so yeah, kind of line up so we're kind of spreading them out. We're not all in one place, spread out a bit. And we'll go at it like football.
Do you literally want a line, or do you want cascading?
Something of a line. Yeah, this is just practice. 3, 2, 1, bubble line, go. Come on, catch up. We'll get there at the same time. And bubble time now.
I pressed the wrong button.
They have too
And
many
back off,
boons.
Now we have our Necro here to make it much more difficult to get to them. This is kind of showing, like, if you're trying that solo run-in kind of, YOLO warrior, I'm gonna go in and get my bubble off before the team gets there. Like this is gonna be harder because you're coming in with stability and swiftness, and
there's 40 people hitting you.
the Scepter 3 and all the other corrupts from the focus. If a Necro sees you and they can target you and get you corrupted, you're gonna have a much harder time, and you're gonna have to heal and put the boons back and dodge roll and fight to get there. Ooh, we got Ash as well, so we're gonna have a double Necro issue here. All right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go with Endure Pain to not take any chances. All right, I'm gonna buff up. 3, 2, 1. I'm going for it. My bubble's on cooldown, so I'm just gonna pretend. And bubble.
Oh shit! I don't think it was supposed to.
All right.
Sorry,
Whoa,
sorry.
whoa, whoa,
sorry.
whoa.
Oh,
Have it,
wow, wow.
have it.
Next contender. If anybody else wants to try
Oh,
another bubble.
Grief, I was wondering, like, does the stances like Endure Pain and balanced stance, those they count as boons? Like, can they be stripped?
No. No, that's
Oh,
why
okay.
stances are so strong. They can't be stopped, really. And your last stand trait, it makes them better. It makes them longer. So you already have something that enhances those. All right. I think that's about all I have to say about that. Any what questions do you have on Spellbreaker?
Why
All
isn't
right.
longbow meta?
Oh, about
It's
that. Like,
it's okay. It's not terrible.
It's more
Condi
for Condi
or-
though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Condi Berserker. Is it useful for World versus World?
Condi Berserker can do some crazy stuff roaming. Yeah. No, I've played with that a bit. Yeah. I mean the bow is 100% burning stuff. I mean it's all burn. So you need some Condi power stats to make it work, but yeah, no, you can do quite well with that. A lot of the stuff can get reflected because you're basically a ranger, but you have to kind of
Oh,
be aware
yeah.
of that.
It does have
Like,
an immobilize for longbow 5.
oh, but it's single target.
Yeah, single target.
The burst is really nice though. The big burn you get out of that is good. So yeah, it can be. I haven't seen it really used successfully much in group because there's better options, but smaller group I've seen it work okay. All right, guys. Well, let's get a last bubble fiasco off here, unless anybody has any other questions.
Good luck, red team.
We don't really have any much damage, but we've got all the bubbles. 3, 2, 1, go! And spread them out. I got some bubble left. Give me some bubble right. There we go. Putting out some... Oh, Ash jumped out of the bubbles.
Get back here.
He disappeared. Ranger stuff.
Oh, we killed him. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Taking some work there.
Wow, cheats.
How did you not die?
He's invulnerable right now.
Invulnerable. Yeah, there's a. You can go in as invulnerable.
Oh my god.
Good for practice.
Oh
For
my
that,
God.
for that long? Really? There's zero HP.
No, it's like you.
Now, I did see the damn roots, so
How did Lucky get the stomp?
there is a damn ranger skill that puts those roots out and immobilizes everyone. And
Oh
there's
my
no way to
God.
get rid of it except for killing the stupid ass roots.
Those stupid
Go.
roots.
Yeah.
They
Jock around.
trigger me so much.
But you are perfect for that. Your auto attack will take care of those very well. So keep on your auto attack. You'll get your adrenaline you need, and you'll get rid of the stupid roots. Just whack, whack, whack.
Whack, 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 whack.
Bubbling on Kai.
Did that hurt?
Oh, they're getting tons of Boon rips.
Oof.
Careful there.
Yeah, you just want to go for aim. If you're doing the healing shouts, aim for around 2,000 because it makes people feel better watching a 2,000 heal here in their stream, and they fight better. Just from what I've experienced.
Gotta keep those health bars full.
Well,
Yeah, people start freaking out if they get below half, rightfully so. Even just the little shouts just to refill people halfway through the fight, they make a big difference. But yeah, guys, that is Spellbreaker, and I hope you guys learned something.
90,
Awesome.
90%
Thanks,
of the
Chris.
time.
Thanks
Thank you.
to our attackers / targets.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Target.